Hundreds became part of history today as the International African American Museum opened its doors to the public for the first time. Joining us live from historic Gadsden's Wharf, Raphael James and Molly McBride. This is the same location where hundreds of thousands of Africans arrived in the United States from their native homeland. Raphael, what was today's grand opening like?
It was amazing, Ann. In a word, amazing. And people who walked in and took a look at the exhibits here were in awe. Many of them learning things they said they had never heard or seen in their entire lives. And these are people in their 70s and 80s who are saying this was brand new information for them. So it was breathtaking, actually, is what I heard from many of them. This area, as you mentioned, is where 1 in 2 blacks, Africans, entered this country. The ancestors came here at this port, Gadsden's Wharf, and that makes this sacred ground, and the museum honors it as such. Today, I have the opportunity to talk with Malika Pryor. She's the Chief Learning and Engagement Officer, and she's joining me now, and we talked about the experience from these older people and even younger people coming. Older people who have lived the African American experience are learning things today for the first time. How's that possible?
Well, it's possible because so many African people, American people, people throughout the world have really been denied the opportunity to access an accurate and holistic portrayal of African American history. As the site of Gadsden's Wharf, which during its time was one of the most active wharfs in the Charleston port, which is responsible for approximately 40% of all Africans who would make their way to the United States, the power of place is also incredibly moving. There is something to being on grounds where tens of thousands of Africans were transported from and arrived from the continent of Africa and begin their American journey, presumably as enslaved people. And that in and of itself is just so significant. There are so many folks that are right here from Charleston that grew up in Ansonboro and other historically black communities right here on the peninsula who had no idea what this was historically. So from those kinds of hyper-local details to broader conversations around the significant contributions of African people, there's so much to learn.
Ms. Pryor, thank you so much. And that vibe continues throughout the museum as more and more people come in. I think they had about 700 or 800 people come through those doors today. But again, back to this specific area and this being sacred ground, Molly McBride is standing by, and she had the opportunity to talk with people right after they came out of the museum about their experience here.
Well, Ralph, exactly. From what I'm hearing, that's one of the things that's just been so important to people. I spoke with one woman who tells me she thinks every southern state should have a museum in this capacity because of just how impactful it was to her that these exhibits are literally explaining events that transpired right here on these grounds. I spoke to one woman who flew in all the way from D.C. She says she was impressed by how the museum was curated and by the variety of different exhibits that they had. She says it brought the history of the African American population in the country together for her, and that it was incredibly inspiring.
And I think that they did an excellent job with this one. And I'm going to tell everybody that I know to come down and check it out because it is definitely worth the trip.
From what I'm hearing, this is an experience people are definitely wanting to do more than once because there's just so much to see. Ralph?
Molly, thank you very much, and I want to echo that. If you're planning on coming, you're not going to be able to take it all in with just one visit. You may have to come back multiple times. If you plan to do so, if you can get a ticket early, they open up at 10 o'clock. If you can get one of those tickets, you may want to do that. I talked with one lady who came in. She was one of the first wave of visitors to come in. She got here at 10 o'clock, and at 3:45, she was still enjoying the exhibition. At the International African American Museum, I'm Raphael James. Back to you.
All right, Ralph, Molly, thank you so much. And for more information on how you can plan a visit to the museum, just head to live5news.com and search IAAM. We have a web story with all of the details that you'll need to know.